Seriously.
Now, a lot of people in Alton are going to know you as the owners of Epicurean Fare, right here in downtown, which
Right.
is an amazing place. I admit I've not been there yet,
We're going to get you there, though.
but I'm going to go soon. But I've heard nothing but amazing things
Thank you.
about that. And you're also part of that rejuvenation of Broadway down there with all the shops that are filling in. And I remember, when Spoon was there, and I think Frost was there for a little bit. So it's really cool to see that space being used, and people really love it. But what they may not know is that you haven't always lived here, right? That you guys
Very
returned
true.
here.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
You definitely, right?
So, Kieran, where are you from?
Well, I'm originally from Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah.
So when I moved over to the States here, met my beautiful wife about 7 years ago.
7 years. So you moved to Alton 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Godfrey, but it's all encompassing.
Right.
you
Well,
know,
you've
and
invested in Alton.
In my opinion, being Irish, it's all encompassing. So, yeah.
And then, Martha, you haven't always lived here,
I
but where
was
are you
born
from?
in Alton, though. I was born in Alton, and I grew up in Alton. I was here until I went to university, and then I was gone for quite a while, and I came back the very end of 2008. So I've been back for a good while now.
Right. So you were born here. When did you leave?
So you want to know how old I am? I'm just.
We'll leave years out of it.
We'll leave
Or
years
actually,
out of it. No, I left
you'll
here.
give a business name or something like that. Like,
1989.
I'm sorry. You left here. Like you grew up.
I grew up he-
What school did you go to?
I went to Alton High when it was where the middle school is now. So it's quite fun to see that as a middle school. And then I went to West Middle School, which I guess is now a primary school. So
West Elementary School.
Yeah.
My kids went there.
it's so cute. So quite a bit has changed.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Quite a
so
bit
you
has
went to
changed.
Alton High School, and you graduated. And
Yes,
then
yes, I
where did
did.
you go to college?
I went to University of Illinois.
Okay, sure. And what was your major?
I was political science and English literature.
Really?
Two very useful majors.
So after college, where'd you go?
Then I went to law school.
Really?
And so then I lived in St. Louis for about 5 years when I went to law school. Then I clerked for the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals for 2 years. So I was in St. Louis for about 5 years. And then I moved to Washington, D.C.
What did you do in Washington, D.C.?
So I was a M&A lawyer for a big multinational law firm.
Oh, wow. Okay. And M&A is mergers and acquisitions.
Mergers and acquisitions, yes.
Right. So Washington,
Private equity
D.C.
focused.
Washington. So you're from Alton, Illinois.
Right.
Right. You go to University of. Where'd you go to law school again?
I went to St. Louis U.
St. Louis U. Yeah, you might say that. So your political science. That's like pre-law, I guess, right? Yeah.
Sure enough,
Right.
anything is, right?
And then you moved to Washington, D.C.
Right.
and worked for a major private equity.
Well, I did private equity, but I worked for Kirkland Nellis, so it's a multi-specialty firm. So
Working in mergers and acquisitions from
Indeed.
Washington, D.C. So you must have worked on some pretty major deals, I'm
I
assuming?
did indeed, actually. Yes.
Yeah, what was that like? That work?
Tiring, exciting, fun. I was much younger then, so you definitely have the energy to burn the midnight oil. But DC's a very fun place to be because nobody's really from DC, so you have so many people coming in, from all over. And
Yeah. Kieran, tell me about. You grew up in Ireland?
I grew up in Dublin,
Yeah.
Ballyahaclia, and that's the Irish for Dublin. So yeah, and went to high school there, and then I went off and did hotel management, and sidetracked my way into insurance, and sort of stuck in the mud and getting a bit fed up of it. And then I decided to reinvent myself at the age of 40, and I went off to one of the top culinary schools in the world, which is Ballymaloo down in Cork. It's fabulous. 200-acre all-organic farm, and started cooking after that. And then met my beautiful wife Martha about 10 years ago in Ireland at a party, and ended up here.
So you were in insurance, right? You
Yes,
said insurance?
yes.
So mergers and acquisitions and insurance. And
Well,
then,
no, different levels of the yeah. No competition there, yeah. I was 9 to 5 boy. Martha
But we
was
both were in the
24 hours a
corporate
day
world.
lady,
Right,
you know.
yeah,
So
yeah. Why did you decide to reinvent yourself? Why did you try to decide to change careers?
I always had a love for food, and I've been
Really?
cooking since I was like knee high to a grasshopper, or whatever, and
Yeah.
decided it was time for a change, and
Right.
haven't looked back. So good.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
So just a love of food. that you had.
absolutely. Yeah, can't you
Decided,
tell?
wasn't clever. Decided to make a go of it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, so you were in Ireland. Had you ever been to the United States at all?
Yes. I've traveled quite extensively,
traveled.
but I went to the mid '80s. I spent a year in Pittsburgh. So
Okay, what were you doing in Pittsburgh?
I was working for Heinz.
Heinz, right.
Corporation.
What job did you have at Heinz?
It was a very lowly job of delivering mail all around the offices. So I
Okay.
knew somebody who got me the job, and so off I went for the year. And I
So you got to spend
thoroughly
time-
enjoyed it.
Right. So that was your first experience in the United States?
In
at all?
the United States, yes, yes.
So after you said you went to this culinary school in Cork.
Yes.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Cork,
Right.
down the south. So
Cork. Okay, and that sounds fascinating.
it
So
was like the best experience of my life. It was just like 7 days a week, live in for 3 months, and you just
And it was on a farm.
on a 300-acre organic farm.
Really?
And they had their own, like, obviously all the fruit and vegetables. Their animals were there as well.
Yeah.
You know, it was
They're
great.
still going. I mean,
Yes.
I imagine.
Oh, absolutely,
Going for
yeah.
a while,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, so where did that take you?
That took me then where I decided that this is going to be my career. So I started off very luckily in Park Nasilla, which is an amazing
Wait, where's that again?
Park Nasilla. It's in Kerry,
Okay.
and it's a beautiful, oldie, worldy resort. And I
Yeah.
started off there, and then I worked in restaurants, and then I gotten a bit old, so I wasn't able for the 80 hours a week on my feet. So I started going off and doing private catering on my own back in
Okay.
Ireland then. So
Still in Ireland.
yes.
Yeah. You did traveling throughout. Like,
Oh, I've traveled. I've been very lucky. I've been to probably 30 different countries.
Really?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm.
What are some that stand out? What are some of your favorite places?
Favorite place is Japan. I love Japan. I've been to Sri Lanka, Thailand. Hate to say Russia, which I enjoyed, and political. I shouldn't have brought that up. Ukraine.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, that'd be timely. I mean,
we're gonna edit that. Okay.
but I mean, you got like a rich. I mean, it's a very rich culture.
Yeah.
So a lot of Asian countries you've been to.
Yeah, and obviously I've traveled extensively through Europe as
Okay.
well.
So then, at some point, you guys meet, right? So you were in D.C. You're back in Alton now. What happened?
So I moved back here. I was going to transition actually with my firm and move and work in the Chicago office to be closer. My dad wasn't doing very well, and so I came back, and then I just didn't really go forward. So I had my son. My dad wasn't well. He passed away, and I just decided that I was maybe going to take a step back from everything I had been doing career-wise, or take a little time off. That's sort of, and actually I was taking time off for quite a while. Well, really not. It just seemed like it because all of a sudden I wasn't busy every day. And then some good friends of mine who work at a big firm in St. Louis were like, okay, are you ever coming back to work? And if so, are you staying here? And I'm like, why? And they're like, they need somebody senior. And I'm like, okay, begrudgingly, although, the paycheck's always good. So it was like, okay, I'll go back. So, but that's how I ended up sort of like back here. But once you're back, you fall back into, the culture and the atmosphere, and it all it's so comforting, and it just feels like in a way you haven't been away.
Right.
So
you came back 2008.
Into 2008, yes.
And you went back to work in the St. Louis area? Is that the reason?
Yes,
Yeah.
and probably about 2010, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. That was right. The Great Recession was happening. and
Right.
You were getting back into mergers and acquisitions?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so you guys still hadn't met yet, right? Or no, had you met?
No, we
No.
had.
Okay, well, tell me how you met.
Well, you take
So-
this one.
So you're a former insurance agent or in the insurance business, got into culinary career in Ireland, and you're
So
BC,
we were
Alton. So
in
how did you
Europe
meet?
on vacation, went through Ireland to see friends, family, and Kieran was catering this party that was thrown for us while we were there. So that's really the
And
first.
then I discovered that we had mutual friends as well.
Lots of
which
mutual
was
friends, so-
unusual, you know.
Right.
So, yeah.
So you had this caterer in Ireland who happens
Right.
to know people that you know,
Right.
and you're catering for somebody that.
Well, she must have liked the grub or something.
But so yeah, so we went. Then a bunch of us did go out to hear some music. I got to see Kieran's fantastic dancing skills, but that didn't quite seal the deal. So I went ahead and we came on home because we were, like I said, we were just there on holiday. And so then a couple years later, unfortunately, a mutual friend of ours passed away, and Kieran came over
The funeral was
for the
in
funeral.
Orlando. So.
And I went down for the funeral.
So you met in Florida. You met again in Florida after having met
Right.
in Ireland.
Right.
Through this mutual friends, the connection to this friend of yours. And so you guys met in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
for the second time,
Yeah,
re-met, right.
And-
Yeah, and then I was back here a month later for a vacay, and it worked out. So here we are.
You went to Thailand first. It wasn't like you rushed over here.
Well, I came to you after
Thailand
Thailand
for a month, yes.
didn't I?
Yeah.
I went to Thailand and came back.
Yes, yes.
There you go.
Okay,
Home
so
to
then,
Alton, there you
so
go.
Kieran, you find yourself meeting this person from the United States who happens to be from Alton, Illinois.
Yeah.
So you made the decision to leave Ireland after all those years.
Oh, I know. It was a jump in
Yeah.
the dark. I was sort of early 50s and trying to
Okay.
reinvent myself all over again. So,
Right.
you know, so.
Well, so why did you choose to come back to Alton? I mean, you were here.
Martha gave me the choice. She said Europe
I
or Alton, and I said, well, I'd like to. If I'm going to give it a go, why not do completely different? And, you know, so. No,
Okay.
basically, I knew absolutely nothing about the place before I moved here.
But you
and,
loved it.
No, I love
mean-
it. Like, I grew up beside the sea. The fact that we have the river here, that's my saving grace. I got to be close to water, you know. So,
You remember your first impression of Alton?
which very first impression.
Yes.
I remember thought everything was really, really brown. And that was the drive from the airport, because I came in March. And in Ireland, like, it's pretty much green all the time. So I was thinking, it's really brown. And then I saw the river, said, this is nice. And I said, well, look how big the river is.
So Martha, you could have lived anywhere. I mean, why did you stay in Alton? Yeah. I mean, you came back,
Right,
but
right.
then you're still here. Like, why did you choose to stay in Alton?
Well, I think because Alton is a good place to have as your home base. You know, like Kieran said, I've always found the people here to be really friendly. It's a place where you're gonna, you know, you can meet a lot of different people. You can do a lot of different things, and there's a really nice variety too. Just in the music scene alone, you know, if you want to hear classical music, you can go hear that. If you want to hear, you know, sort of, you know, rock, you definitely can hear rock music, you know. But I mean, it's just everybody. It embraces. It seems like the town really embraces whatever anybody wants to do. And you've got to remember too, when I came back. Around that time, there were so many things that had changed or were changing that it was really exciting too. Opening up Jacoby's, as an art center, which I mean, I remember as a furniture store where you were told not to touch anything, when I was little. But you had this almost whole renaissance, in the kind of the art sector of Alton alone, which was fascinating. And it was so pleasurable to see. That somebody was sort of taking an interest in developing that. So, so there were a lot of very, very positive, changes. I know I said Renaissance earlier. I think Alton's had several, shall we say, rebirth, Renaissance. So it's always nice to see this. This last one I feel like has been pretty sustained, and especially for riding that blip in 2008 to But no, I think we've seen a lot of development here, and it's nice to see. And I'm really not the only person that's gone away and come back. You actually, I find quite a few people have done the same thing. So it's nice to go and venture out, and then you come back with a different perspective that can just only add to the allure of Alton. So.